Now, before we get started, just a quick reminder that if you can't have a civilized conversation in the comments, you won't get the opportunity to. Now that that's out of the way, let's talk about the U.S. women's national team thrashing Thailand 13-0 yesterday. And there's obviously been quite a bit of uproar, not just on Twitter, but on the likes of Canadian television, about both the number of goals scored and the teams celebrating after each goal. Now, I'm going to mostly ignore the, quote, typical classless Americans comments that you see online because, hey, who doesn't love painting with a broad brush and making statements about 320 million plus people? But I want to delve into both of these issues. I think there's something massive being missed in all of this that we'll get to, so stick with me. First, let's talk about the number of goals, because I think anyone who is upset about the number of goals, which between these two things, the number of goals and celebration, has been more than the minority, right? More people seem to understand that, but we'll get it out of the way here at the beginning. You don't understand football. The first tiebreaker in the group stage after points is goal differential. So, and by points, in case you don't know football, which would be weird that you're watching this video, you get 3 points for a win and 1 point for a draw. So if you're the US and you get to the end of the group stage and you've got 7 points because for some reason you draw with Sweden and they've got 7 points because they drew with you and beat Chile and Thailand, then it comes down to goal differential between you and your opponents. Who has the higher goal differential, they win the group. So if you want to guarantee you win the group, you want to maximize your points and your goal differential. And until that changes, and I think it's a perfectly fine system, there's no legitimate complaint about, quote, running up the score. Because if Sweden comes in and beats Thailand 10-0, then you go, oh, well, you took your foot off the gas, right? Thailand earned the right to compete in this World Cup. It would be more disrespectful, in my opinion, and I think this has been backed up by people who actually have played the game at a high level, if you said, oh, okay, we've scored enough, so let's pass the ball around in the back of our defense for 30 minutes and just play keep away. And note, according to Grant Wall from Sports Illustrated, the Thai coach had no complaints and said, essentially, we played a very good team today and we need to get better. Furthermore, in the same article, Alex Morgan was seen after the game going up to the Thailand striker and kind of consoling her because she also played for the University of Cal Bears, where Alex Morgan came from. And as you can see in the article, Nild, who's the striker's tears may have been emotional tears, but they were not embarrassed tears, she explained afterwards. It's all hitting me at once. I think the experience was incredibly emotional. Even before the game, it was insane. Just now, after it ended, just shaking the U.S. players' hands, I was like, this is so awesome. I'm trying to take the best positive out of it. Awesome. You just beat us 13-0. It was an honor to play on the field with you, to shake your hand. It was awesome. Really? So they're okay with it. The Thai players and coaches are okay with it. The former players on the Fox postgame show on that set, every single last one of them shut down Rob Stone, who's kind of like the host of the show, because he started to say the boot was on the neck. They should have taken the foot off the gas at 10 goals. And they all shut him down. We're like, absolutely not. That's disrespectful to your competitor to say, we have beaten you so bad that we're going to stop playing. Okay? I also think building that confidence early in a tournament, hey, what we're doing works, our system works, our passing is on point, we're seeing the ball go into the back of the net, is really important, regardless of the opposition you play. Imagine, if you would, if the score had stayed 3-0 like it was at halftime. What would all of those articles say then? Now, for the celebrations. Let's preface this by saying, I'm not a national team playing footballer. I've not spent my whole life dreaming of making it to the World Cup, giving up time with family, friends, giving up other hobbies, just so I could get a little bit better at my game in hopes of making it to the world's biggest stage before I'm too old and my body gives out. And I don't think many people who have made those sacrifices are upset with the celebrations. The World Cup is the pinnacle of women's football by a long shot, right? It's a bit better than the NWSL and the women's leagues in Europe, right? It is the pinnacle. It has the most eyeballs. It's the dream. So you want to tell me that if I score at the pinnacle of my sport, that's been my dream, that I shouldn't celebrate? Here's what they were celebrating. They weren't just celebrating, oh, it's our 9th goal or our 10th goal or our 13th goal. They were celebrating Alex Morgan tying for the most number of goals in a World Cup game. If you remember, in 2015, she came into that tournament injured and wasn't as productive, so she kind of missed a good chunk of the tournament. They were celebrating the entire team scoring the most goals ever in a World Cup game, men's or women's. They literally made history. They were celebrating Mal Pugh, Lindsey Horan, and Sam Mewis scoring their first ever World Cup goals. And they also were celebrating Carly Lloyd continuing her run of scoring a goal in consecutive World Cup games, and she's working towards a record. So if you're those players, think of it this way. You never know when your career is going to end. Again, Alex Morgan came into the 2015 World Cup injured, right? She had to work her way back into fitness. She didn't get that many starts. You never know when you're going to get a horrific knee injury or an Achilles injury. It could be the next group stage game, and that's the end of your career. So not only are you not getting a chance to score, but you're not getting to participate in a World Cup at that point and never get another call up to a national team. So you celebrate every goal like it could be your last. You've earned the right to be there and do that. Furthermore, where exactly is the line that everybody on earth is going to be comfortable with? Like, the U.S. women can't win here. If they don't score enough goals, not only could they not win the group due to goal differential like we talked about, but then all of the articles, the tweets, the hot takes, all that kind of stuff are about how they might not be ready to defend their title. And now there's this extra pressure. If they score too much, and heaven forbid, actually celebrate scoring at the pinnacle of their sport, then they're being disrespectful competitors. So where's the line everyone on earth agrees is just the right amount of goals? Is it 7? Like when Germany's men's team destroyed Brazil in the semifinals, 7-1? And it was like 5-0 at halftime, right? Like, and in that game, they didn't need goal differential. Yes, they celebrated those goals because I went back and watched. Now, were they as coordinated, in terms of group celebrations? Maybe not, but they still celebrated because they earned the right to do that. It's a massive game. They could have stopped at 5-0 at halftime. That game was over at 5-0, but they poured it on and it was 7-1. Or let's see, is it 11 goals? These are all Germany, which is kind of interesting. Like Germany's women's team over Argentina 11-0 in the 2007 World Cup group stage. Or is it 8 goals? Which, by the way, Germany's men's team beat Estonia at the exact same time yesterday as the U.S. women were beating Thailand in Euro 2020 qualifying, which is an important tournament. I haven't looked at the highlights, but I'm guessing they celebrated some goals. Is that the right amount? Because how do you figure out where the line is? Like, oh, we scored 9. Now we cannot celebrate. We just have to stop. Or it's 6.5. Like, you just can't have an arbitrary line where it's like, oh, everyone's going to be comfortable. Because if they did it with 7, they'd probably still get comments. If they did it with 9, they'd probably still get comments. You just can't win. But above all of this, here's the big point I think a lot of people are missing here. And I could be wrong. I'm not an insider. This is just my take on it. The U.S. women's national team is currently, right now, in a legal battle with their own federation over pay, playing conditions, and overall treatment in comparison to their counterparts on the men's team. Don't you think it helps their argument that they have and will continue to achieve significantly more than the men by absolutely crushing everyone they can at this World Cup? They want to leave no doubt in anyone's mind that they are the best in the world. This is like a giant middle finger back to the Federation saying, we're going to prove to you how dominant we are, so you look even more foolish for not treating us well. Now, this might come back to bite them as they are now the, bad girls with the target on their back for the rest of the tournament. But they were already the favorites coming in, and I don't think the pressure changes just because they beat up on Thailand. What do you think? All right, my friends, if you've enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. I also have a Patreon that you can see in the description below. That's a way for you to financially support the channel. So that if you say, I really like this content, I want to see more like it, you can hop in there and see all the different ways you can support me on Patreon. But above all, one last reminder, let's keep the comments civilized. What do you think? Have a good one.